Okay guys, so I wanted to maybe back up a little bit from previous videos and go over a little bit, something a little bit more systematic, and then again go back to giving you some follow-ups here in what we call our Largo Mano training. And again, there's multiple, there's many styles, right, and many ways of going about it. But this is specifically utilizing what we call that lateral triangle, which you might have seen in some of the other videos. And again, when I'm using this lateral triangle, the key is trying to keep this shoulder forward, right, as I drop this foot back, as opposed to what some people do is they open up the hip, and then now you're shortening, you know, the advantage of your blade. Or I'm using a training blade. Again, if you don't have one, just use a stick. And I recommend not using a real blade, but I should just go ahead and say that. Hopefully you're smart enough to know, unless you're advanced and experienced. Okay, but anyways, I digress. Let's go into this exercise. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be envisioning these angles of attack, our angle 1, our angle 2, 3, 4, and 5. Or if you don't want to go by those numbers, just think down, down, a horizontal attack, and then that thrust. Very common. So what we're doing on this is what we call meeting that force. Basically what it just means is that we are hitting the same angle that's coming at us. Okay? Now the trick here again, now I don't have a partner, so I just got to visualize as best I can. But as I'm seeing this angle come at me, right, I'm stepping back and hitting, right, cutting into that arm. So my goal is to try to get just the tip of the weapon, the end of the weapon. I don't need to, you know, get the entire thing, right, the middle of the blade. I want to get just the end of the blade and maximize the advantage of getting as far away as I can while I hit, okay? Now again, there's things to consider that, you know, I luckily have not witnessed, but if you were to say, you know, if you disable that arm, that weapon's going to fall. So that's why I always kind of think like a boxer a little bit in these, and so I might have to be moving that leg. But right now we're just going to go through this system to get the feel, right? So I cut 1, I come back. I cut the angle 2, and I come back. I cut down into the angle 3, I cut down into their backhand angle 4. Now 5, they're thrusting, so I'm not going to thrust their thrust. I'm just going to be cutting down onto their arm here, right? Cutting down onto that attack. So now, so that's what we call meeting. Then we also have what we call following. Maybe my weapon's in this position. Now the thing is, can be deceptive about this, or misunderstood, maybe. Now I don't think deceptive is the right word, but where people could get the wrong idea with this, is that it doesn't mean that I need to wait for their attack to go past me and then I hit it. In fact, we really want to get the blade on that, or the stick, whatever we're using, on that arm, that target, as fast as possible. It really just means our reference point, whether we're in this position and I can cut into it that way, or whether we're in this position, I'm still taking this strike here, bang, and I want to cut it fast. So this is like a jab, right? It's not necessarily like a giant sweeping motion, especially if it's blade for that matter, right? If I can just step back and cut, okay, and get, before they even, you know, ideally before they're even able to get that strike, okay? You got to take what you can get, but the idea is that if I can hit that arm, so we want to make that direct from the shoulder. Now, this can be tricky with the angle too, because I'm in this open position. So as we step back, right, I'm cutting up into their backhand. Now the angle 3 is coming. I'm cutting down into their angle 3. Now it's coming on this side, angle 4. Bang! I want to intercept. Now the 5 comes. I want to intercept. So we want to make it direct as possible, okay? So again, that's following. 1, 2, okay? 3. Angle's coming this way now. 4. Now they're thrusting at me. 5. Okay, so again, tough without a partner feeding you. But if you've done this before, right, you got that reference, or if you can visualize it, but at the very least, see if you can just kind of, you know, imitate those movements, if you will. All right, so once you feel that, I also am a big believer in balancing the body as much as you can. A lot of systems don't, especially if they're single weapon oriented, don't do a lot in the other hand, right? They because there's so much material usually, it makes sense, right? But I think it's good for you to practice both sides, so you get a little balance in the body, right? So then I'm going to go back. It's going to feel maybe a little bit awkward, right? But I'm hitting my X here. Now I'm lefty, lefty, here. Okay. Then I'm doing follow. 1, follow. 2, follow. 3, following. 4. Backhand against the angle 5. Practice both sides. Okay. So the last thing I'm going to show you here, I'll give you a little follow-up to do. Now, again, when we have a partner, we have to train this a little bit differently so we don't, out of safety. But when you're solo training, it can be kind of aggressive on the follow-up. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to start on this set here, and you could, just for the sake of the time of the video here, I'm going to start from the backhand, right? When I step back, I'm going to cut, but then I'm going to come forward and I'm going to go angle 1, angle 2. Now I'm in this open position, so when their angle 2 comes, I cut that line and I go angle 2, angle 1. Now I'm closed again. Hit against the 3, downward slashes, a 1, 2. 4 comes, hit against the 4, backhand to forehand. Now I'm closed again, hit against the 5, forehand and backhand. Right? So we just say make the X, right? So again, this system, and you could do, I just decided to do it from the backhand side. 1, make the X. 2, make the X. 3, make the X. Now I'm open. 4, make the X. Now I'm closed. 5, and then I make my X. And then I can really start to add that footwork. You could just pick one angle and practice that. Cut, 1, 2, and then really go for it. Maybe follow up more and more, right? But add that attack, right? That idea of, like I did in one of the videos where we stepped in. So obviously you can progress this. But anyways, I just wanted to give you a little format to mess around with. So play around with that footwork, right? The more I can keep my angles, I don't want them to be too wide here. See, my 1 and 2, I want to try to keep it almost vertical, right? Keeping my elbows in, right? There's even more detail in this, which I'll save for another video when we strike, retracting the blade stuff, but just wanted to give you a little format to work with. So anyways, guys, hope you enjoy that. We'll see you in the next video.